Hello everyone, welcome to another Animation Friday, and today I thought it would be cool to discuss um, love songs that are from animated films, and in particular love songs. Now these can be either platonic or romantic, either way. I thought it would be interesting to combine the two together for this video, and you might be wondering, but Michelle, why don't you put that in your Music Talk Tuesday? That's when you talk about songs. Isn't that the reason why it's called Music Talk Tuesday? And I will say to your sassy objection to by saying that yes, I understand that. Uh, but I thought it would be interesting to put them within the animation category because I don't judge these songs just based upon the song by itself, but I like to judge it too based upon how the animation is sort of used and how it's incorporated with the song. So I feel like that plays an essential role, is the sort of combination of the two. So that's something that I kind of wanted to emphasize as I go through the list of songs that I've chosen. And these are sort of my personal favorites. I'm sure that there's some that will agree, disagree, whatnot, but I'm just going to go through them, and you can feel free to say which ones are your best and if there are any that are on this list. The first one that I wanted to talk about is from Bambi, and it is called Love is a Song. Now this song plays actually in the beginning as well as the ending of the film. It has sort of a reprise, so it does sound a little bit different, but again, it's pretty much the same song. But I really like this song and how it's incorporated in the beginning because there is this sort of awe and this sense of kind of mystery, but at the same time beauty to the forest, because really that's how Bambi ultimately ends up opening up. And I find it interesting how the vocals kind of display this, especially with the choirs that they have, as well as the one person who I think does kind of solo bits. It just has this very, very powerful, emotional feel core to it, and I think it really works well with the opening, and really sets the mood of the piece within the film, and sort of sets these sort of messages that are sort of behind Bambi. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that ultimately love still eventually goes on, especially considering the fact that even though Bambi's mom died, Bambi's love for his mom still continued on, and in doing so, and her sacrifice and her love for Bambi ultimately allowed him to eventually find love and have a family. So that's kind of really the core message I think that the song was really trying to convey. Like, love is a song that never ends. Life may be swift and fleeting, hope may die, but yet love's beautiful music comes each day like the dawn. So I think that's really something that's important to note, like that even if there's tragedy within our lives and we may lose people, their love is always there within us. So I think that's really something that was at the core of Bambi, and I think it nailed it by inserting this song in the beginning as well as the end. And the end sort of ties it all up together really well, because once you hear the lyrics and once you really ultimately see what ends up happening within the film, you do see how ultimately Bambi does end up sort of triumphing in a way, because his mother loved him dearly and sort of sacrificed herself for him. Indirectly, you could say. I mean, she did, let him go ahead. She did let him pass her so that it would be less likely that he would be killed. So, and in doing so, he survives, and he ends up finding love and developing a family, and that's pretty much the ending of the film. You sort of see him triumphantly there on top of the cliff, and that's again sort of what it's supposed to convey, that no matter what trials and tribulations and who we may lose in life, their love is always there. Their love is always a part of us. And I think that was something that Bambi really hit the head on the nail there, with choosing this song and putting it where they chose to ultimately put it. And you do feel the sort of weight with the animation, and you do feel the sort of awe and wonder that the choir displays. So I think it's really brilliant. I think it's really well done, and I think there's a lot of beauty and wonder to it. And so yeah, that's the reason why it's on this list. Now the next one that I'm going to talk about is actually from a film that I would say that a lot of people don't necessarily consider to be one of Disney's best animated films, at least when it comes to their 2D animation. Yeah, I think I can see some truth in that, yeah, it's not in the top 10, you know. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put it in the top 10 myself, I mean, but at the same time, this song is still a lot of fun, and I find to be very enjoyable, and I think the animation really works to the song's advantage. And that song is I Won't Say I'm in Love from the film Hercules. Now, this song only appears on its own at one point during the film. It's not like Bambi where you have it played at the beginning and then you have sort of a similar but yet different version played at the end. Here's just one song, one point in time within the film. And that time is when Megara, who is our leading lady of the film, ends up falling for Hercules, who is the main character. And she's sort of in self-denial from it because she had somebody sort of break her heart as part of her kind of backstory. And so she's kind of in this state of self-denial where she's literally saying, I won't say I'm in love. And no, girl, I'm not doing that. Even though she really is, you know, she's just denying it. And what I find so entertaining and so enjoyable about this song is the fact that we do have these muses who sing throughout it, not just Megara. And they're all the while trying to convince her that she is in love, and sort of do this in a very flashy, funny, sassy sort of way. And I think it really suits the tone of the film well, because Hercules is kind of a sassy film when it comes to its songs, but nothing is more sassier than this one. And I kind of like the Meg's story of having this kind of self-denial, because I think that's something that a lot of people go through when they're in love. They'll deny that they have feelings even though they do, and they'll suppress those feelings. And sometimes, you know, suppressing those feelings is probably not a good idea, but at the same time, it still shows you the kind of state that sometimes ends up happening. And I think that's very identifiable for the audience. So it's fun, it's colorful, it's upbeat with its animation, and you know, you see all of these little funny little moments that the muses have, and that Meg has going through singing the song. And I think it ultimately works well, and conveys what the message really of the song is, which is sort of expressing a state of self-denial, which I think is good. Which was, I think, ultimately good for the film, because that's what Meg was really going through as a character. So, well done. I think suited the movie well. Probably the most memorable of the songs. Considering the fact that I think a lot of the other songs were kind of just the same, or at least sounded the same. This one stood out to me because it was catchy and it had a lot of energy, but at the same time, I don't think it was over-exaggerated like a lot of the other songs within Hercules are over-exaggerated. So I think it works well. but I understand if some people don't remember it or don't think highly of it. But I personally do. I find it fun. um, Now, the next song that I wanted to briefly mention is You'll Be in My Heart from Tarzan. Now, you could argue whether or not the full version of Phil Collins' song is better than the one that was inserted within the animation. I think personally they both work on the level of I like the full version that Phil Collins wrote for the film, but I also like it when it is inserted in the animation. And some people might be saying, but Michelle, the characters don't sing. You don't see that well, you don't really see it in Bambi either. You see the choir singing, but in this case, it's Phil Collins singing. And I know there's some people out there who don't particularly care for Phil Collins, but I do find him enjoyable. I don't think he's as bad as some people make him out to be. I don't know. But the reason why I like You'll Be in My Heart is because I think it kind of, again, it conveys the message that's sort of within Tarzan. Because you hear within the lyrics sort of, you know, how you literally see in the beginning how ultimately Tarzan is literally rejected by his adopted father. Because if you watch the film Tarzan, basically his actual parents get killed, and then a mother gorilla who lost her little gorilla baby becomes ultimately Tarzan's mother and saves him from the cheetah that killed his actual parents. But ultimately, the adopted dad rejects him because he's not an ape. He's not of his blood, and it's kind of understandable that he if you lost your son and your wife comes home, hey, I got another one. No. No, I will not accept. He's not one of us. Shame. So yeah. But within the song, you do see how ultimately the gorilla mom really accepts Tarzan and accepts him as her own and loves him and genuinely cares for him. And, she sort of sings part of it too, which I find to be interesting. And it kind of displays that kind of motherly love that she has for the child that nobody else does, because again, he's not one of the gorillas, he's a human being. So I think that's a very nice sentiment for love, to love someone even when nobody else would. I think that's a great sort of message, and I liked how it was conveyed within the song and presented to us within the story as well as through the animation. So I think it works, but I understand if some people, for whatever reason, don't like Phil Collins. But again, ultimately, all I think I can say about that song, it pretty much sort of speaks for itself once you listen to the lyrics. And it sort of conveys that message of loving someone when nobody else will. Now, the next song that I wanted to briefly talk about is one that I think is one of the more common animated songs that people love, or at least fell in love with when it came out, and that is A Whole New World. Yes, from Aladdin. I think the song, even though it does have its cheesy moments, there are moments within the song where I just feel like I am just ultra cheesed out right now. And I will say that there's probably only certain times where I can listen to this song and actually really enjoy it. And I really don't care so much for the pop version that they made of this song. I personally prefer it when it's the Disney people that did the singing for the film sing it. Um, but I think it goes well with the animation. I like how it sort of sweeps you off your feet and takes you away, and it's it's very happy. It's very joyous. Um, and I think it really ties in well with sort of, again, the story and how, um, ultimately Jasmine desires to go out and see the whole world. And like Bambi, this one actually does play at the end. And some people might be saying, but doesn't Jasmine still stay as a princess? Yeah, I guess she still stays as the princess, but I think there is this part sort of inserted in there that they're still gonna go out and see the world because they go and fly away on the magic carpet at the end. So, but I find the whole concept of the flying carpet cute. I think it's really scenic in its presentation, and I think the song incorporates itself really well, and you do feel like you're taking a journey with both of them, and it's fun. It's just one of those songs where I think it just overloads me with cheesiness at certain points. But again, if you're in that kind of cheesy, like I just want to go away and yay, be happy mood, I think this is one of those songs to turn to. So it's enjoyable. I find it very engaging and um, sets the tone, I think, for Aladdin well. Beauty and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, or I guess how some people like to call this song Tale as Old as Time. Um, this is a very sort of romantic kind of song, similar to A Whole New World, but I think the cheesiness is a little bit more played down. They try to make things a little bit more serious. They try to make things a little bit more dramatic, I guess you could say, because I think Beauty and the Beast is designed to be a little bit more dramatic as a fairy tale. So it does set the mood well, when they're dancing and having fun, and doing their thing. It's enjoyable. It's fun to watch. I think it works with the animation, and it's kind of cool how it's this is Pot singing because she's sort of the observer. She's on the sidelines, watching them like the audience, and so that's kind of how the song's interpreted. And I think that works out really well because and sometimes they try to do a duet where it's like the Beast is sort of singing and then Belle is sort of singing, but I think I prefer this sort of sideline approach that the animation that the film took in incorporating the song in that way, because it allows us to be the one sort of telling the story, and it allows us to kind of just observe, and I think that works out really well for this film. So yeah, it's a very nice song. It's nice to listen to once in a while. I think sometimes at points it does go into that kind of cheesiness factor, like A Whole New World does. So sometimes it's at points I'm just not in the mood to listen to it. But I do admit that it is very good. It has a lot of weight to it, and I think it ultimately works um, for the film. Bella Notte from Lady and the Tramp. First of all, brilliant inserting the Italian title in there by going into an Italian restaurant. You nailed that one, movie. You nailed that one. What I find really cute and really pretty too about this song is how how it does sound very Italian, but at the same time there is this sense of kind of universal romance to it, especially when the sort of the choir comes in and sings. And it's nice to see them just, having this little stroll. They're not doing something grand like going on a carpet ride or, dancing in this very fancy, big sized, castle. They're just, walking around, observing nature and, enjoying their time together. And it's cute. It's nice to see, and it's nice seeing them eat spaghetti, and it's just very it's cute. There's this level of cuteness to it, but at the same time there is also this sense of beauty. I mean, they try to make the song very romantic. They do try to accentuate within the animation, how peaceful and calm and you know friendly it is. So I think it ultimately works for what it conveys within the animation, as well as what what it conveys on a lyrical level um, within the song. So uh, very enjoyable, a lot of fun, and yeah, I think the best song in Lady and the Tramp as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, moving on to the next song, Baby Mine by Dumbo. Um, this song is probably one of the more sadder songs. And correct me if I'm wrong, I might have mentioned this song before, but I'm going to put it in for the sake of this category because I think it holds as a love song. Because Baby Mime does focus on, you know, uh, Dumbo's mom really genuinely loving him, but sort of not in the similar, which is sort of similar to the Tarzan song, but it conveys it in a way where ultimately Dumbo is rejected by society because of um, his big ears. Um, Whereas in Tarzan, he's sort of rejected just because he is not of the same, species. So it's kind of a different form of rejection. It's not so much about the way Tarzan looks, it's just the way he is and who he is. Whereas with Dumbo, it's more of, again, the way he looks. And the song does convey this sense of, motherly love. Like, I will love you, um, and don't you mind what anybody else says. It's okay, and I'll always be here for you and whatnot. Which I think is something that I think holds up really well with the film, as well as when it's conveying things um, on an on a visual level, because you do see um, how the other animals with their children are able to sort of interact with them directly, whereas Dumbo's mom is like inside a big cage and can't really hold Dumbo except with her trunk. So um, again, I think it does really show you how, even though they're together, there is this level of separation between the two, and that ultimately, Dumbo can't be fully appreciated by his mom because of that, but she still loves him nonetheless. So I think it's really good for its message, and I think it works well within the film. Um, Second to last one, Someday My Prince Will Come in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, there's a lot of beauty to a lot of the Snow White songs. I think if you listen to them more on a choir level, you can really appreciate sort of the beauty, especially when you have the sort of one song reprise. But I do like Someday My Prince Will Come, both as the separate song, as well as the ending reprise, where you have that glorious, sort of really, really awe-inspiring ending. And the thing that I like about this song is that it's simple, but it still has the sense of dreaminess to it. I like that Walt gave this a sense of 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 beauty by making it very fantasy oriented, making it feel very uh, making it feel like you know like something out of the ordinary. And I sort of liked how, even though it may seem simple, there's still a lot of beauty to it, I think. Um, Now, you can argue as whether or not Snow White's voice is all that good, but again, during that time period, that's how women sang. People thought that that was pretty, and that sounded the that just was the sound of the time. Um, but I think she does this song well, actually, as opposed to a lot of the other songs where I think she goes a little bit too squeaky or too Betty Boopish. But here I thought it was very downplayed, and I think that the simplicity works well. But then it also works in this very grandeur setting when you have the ending and sort of that reprise of when the song repeats itself or inserts itself again within the film, but makes it on a more grander scale. So uh, so I think it really does work for this film. I think it was again a desire that Snow White won within the film, and ultimately we see her achieve that desire. So that's really how the film works, and I do enjoy this song for that. So, yeah, but I think that's really all I can say about it. It's fairly straightforward. Last song that I wanted to talk about is within The Little Mermaid. Now, some people might want to argue that Part of Your World is maybe considered a love song, although I feel that Part of Your World is more of a dream. It's more of a desire, sort of similar to the Quasimodo song, like Someday. Um, I believe that's what it's called, the one that he sings in the beginning when he wants to, um, or oh, was it called that? I can't remember, but it's the one where he's singing in the beginning, about wanting to be out in the real world with people, and with Ariel, it's wanting to be on land. And I think those are more desires. They're not necessarily a sense of love, or love based. But this song is Kiss the Girl. Oh yes, this song. This song is a lot of fun with its animation. I like how colorful and bubbly it is. It's not like sassy and flashy so much as I won't say I'm in love, but it does have that similar kind of grandioseness in that there's a lot of people trying to get trying to get Eric to kiss the girl, aka Ariel. So it's just funny seeing all these different characters kind of going around and trying to make these two go together or come together in a romantic way, and I just find it so much fun to watch. I mean, it's really engaging, especially when Scuttle tries to insert himself in it, and they're all just like, go away. So yeah, there's a lot of fun to this song. There's a lot of little cutesy moments to it. There's a lot of kind of romantic slow moments to it. There's just a lot going on, and I think it is fabulous, and it works really well. Alan Menken knew what he was doing, and I think he did really well with this song, and the animators really did a good job of showcasing the animation and making the song sort of flow with that animation. So well done, and I think definitely worthy of recommendation. It it makes me swoon with cuteness every time. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about these songs. Again, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I'll be sure to put the scenes below of where these songs take place so that you kind of have an idea as to how these songs work their way within the animation. But yeah, I think that's really ultimately all I can say. But again, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you on the next video, which will be Valentine's Day. But until then,